Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hello.
I'm Mike Delicio.
And I'm Roy Candy.
Welcome to a review of an X-Men game, or as it's called, X-Men Mutant Insurrection. Now, X-Men Mutant Insurrection, if I believe, was announced at Gen Con Online last year at the Fantasy Flight announcements. The reason I remember that is because they announced like 3 things, so it wasn't hard. And it was exciting because there's a lot of Marvel licensing out there, but there's not a lot of X-Men specifically out there. And this is almost like the classic X-Men, although there's a few of the newer X-Men involved in this game. But when we first saw the game, our initial thoughts were, is this Elder Sign redone? Because it looked a lot like it, just from the initial things they showed. And the answer is yes. It's
Sorta.
But, I mean, definitely it's in the same group for sure. If you play one game, you play the other, you go, oh, this is like Elder Signs in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But Elder Signs has the problem with it. The theme is not one that appeals to me. I don't care about Cthulhu at all. I love X-Men. So I was hoping this would be Elder Signs 2.0. But before we get into any of that, Z is going to explain to us how the game works.
Let's go.
The players are going to be going through multiple game rounds until they all win it together by following and completing this story here, this plot that's in place, going through the showdown and completing that, defeating that, or they are going to lose. And you lose from having the threat go past 15 up on this track, from having the heroes have to draw a red threat card and there not being any, or from all of them being knocked down during that showdown, all right? So we've got here the setup for players. On your turn, you are going to, first, do the deploy phase. During the deploy phase, each of the heroes on the Blackbird is going to deploy to one of the locations out here. You can go to one of the continents. If it's face down, you flip it face up. Or you can go to one of these locations at Xavier's Mansion. They all are going to heal you and then do some secondary effect. Once you've done that, you are going to go through the mission phase. So let's go ahead and deploy. We're going to send Gambit over here. We are going to send Phoenix here, and that card would then be revealed. The players, by the way, can do this in any order you want to. If the card has a flip ability, you will deal with that. Storm is also going there, and then Beast will come along with Phoenix. So there we go. Then we've got, like I said, Part 2, mission phase, in which the players are going to attempt to complete the missions they are deployed to. You can do this in any order, having the players take their turns and roll in any order. So everybody has 2 cards in front of them. You are going to have your power card right here, and you are going to have an assist card right here. So this is Gambit, for example. At the beginning of your turn, or at the beginning of the mission phase, when you are up, let's say we're going to go with Gambit here first at this Lost Mutants encounter, you are going to first see if anybody is going to assist you. If anyone is there, then you may take from them their assist card. That is going to give you their 2 dice and the assist power. Storm is there, so Gambit will indeed take Storm's power, like so. And then they are going to build up their dice pool as listed at the top of these 2 cards. So 2 red dice, 2 blue, 2 yellow, okay? So you grab those from here, and then you are ready to roll. Again, always checking your special abilities. Gambit, by the way, has 5 health, a special ability that says after you deploy, you may train in specific symbols. And then Storm, with her assist, says Lightning Strike. After assembling your pool, you may train something specific. Now, training entails taking an item, a token here, and this is going to behave as a virtual die. You can spend it as though you had rolled that on a die, but you can only have 1. So Gambit's going to have this symbol in front of them. And they are going to roll the dice. The way you roll dice in this game is you take them all, you are going to roll them, and then you are going to re-roll up to twice, whichever ones you want. Some cards are going to have a penalty for re-rolling these helmets, and if you choose not to do that, then you don't re-roll them. You can simply set them aside, not re-roll them, not deal with a penalty. You are trying to complete these lines here. You must do a line in its entirety. Some cards denote that you have to do the lines in order. There's a red arrow there, says from the top to the bottom. This one does not. So we have Gambit here who has rolled the at least one strength attack. They have that there. And then the X symbol, they have that there. The yellow symbol back here is only in effect once our threat is high enough that it would account for that. Just like this red one here would only be in effect when we are up here on the threat track. So that's done, and then we've got the second line could be taken care of with this one. These two are no good, so we are going to re-roll them. All right, and we are looking for hopefully another X. First re-roll, we've got that, and then second re-roll, we've got that. So that did not work, and we are going to complete the top two lines. So you have these tokens you can use for that. This one's done, and then this one is also done. And now we go to Storm's turn. Storm at the beginning could ask for assistance from Gambit. Gambit will help her, and she will roll, and she will attempt to complete the last line. If she does complete the last line, then this is dealt with. We read the success, in which case every player draws a mutant. You're going to draw one of these, and you have a mutant assistant, basically someone who is helping you with their special ability. If you fail by not completing every challenge, then you do the failure, usually taking some damage. And then you're done, and we'll resolve this one the same way. Once that's done, we go to the threat phase, the final phase before regrouping, which is really just a cleanup phase. During the threat phase, these things are going to happen. You are going to raise the threat level equal to however many exclamation marks are showing. So this might go up 1 or 2. We'll go to there, okay, for the 1 there. Let's say they did not complete this, but these characters did in fact complete that one. Then we are going to flip missions based on the number of heroes. There are 4 heroes, so we are going to flip up 1 mission, okay? Let's go ahead and assume once again that this is complete and done and set aside. And so we would flip over a mission, anyone that's face down. We might flip over that one, Pyro. Okay. Then we are going to draw and resolve a threat card. These are the threat cards you draw from the corresponding pile. We draw one, we read it. It is a Sentinel. It is going to be targeting some specific location and attaching to it. So we would attach this to a location, and it's going to add this line, this objective that must be completed in addition to the ones already there. And once that's done, we can all then go into the regroup phase. During the regroup phase, all the heroes are going to return to the Blackbird. We are going to return any assist cards that we gave each other. And if there were knocked out heroes, meaning you took as much damage as your health, then we are going to replace those heroes. You put them away, you take a new one from the box, and you are going to, when that happens, increase the threats by 1. When you get knocked out, that quickens your loss at the end of the game. And then we begin again from the deploy phase. Again, you are attempting to complete whatever this plot is. There are a few different plots in the game. This one is the Brotherhood of Mutants here, the opening scenario, as they suggest. You are attempting to follow the story here. Then once this is complete, it will tell you to go and find a different card from this stack of cards over here, possibly put that into play, then attempt to do something else on it, and ultimately you will get to the showdown. During the showdown, you're going to fight a big bad, and the rules will change slightly for that. Fight the big bad. If you win that fight, you win the entire game. The components are, for the most part, excellent. The cardboard is nice and thick and sturdy. This is very good. The Blackbird itself is certainly overproduced. We don't really need a piece like this, made out of cardboard that just simply holds the characters between missions. But it is nice. It looks fantastic. And then the cards themselves are very good quality. There's a good variety of mutants. The 4 you saw there in the overview, but a lot of different mutants you can have in the game. And they have a nice linen finish, very good quality. Tokens for health and things like that are also very good. And then the dice are especially a highlight. They are engraved, they are easy to read, and very sturdy plastic dice. The 2 drawbacks for me are the cardboard standees. there are not enough of these plastic stands for them all to get one and then never to need to be removed from there. So there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on the bottom of these. And you are going to see that Storm here, for example, has quite a bit of cardboard damage there because you'll be putting these on and taking them off quite a bit. And this style of plastic base is not the most forgiving. They are certainly going to fray your cardboard. And then the other thing is this deck of story cards that you are going to need to reference. They sort of follow along the stories from the different plots you are playing. They have a reference number down here in the corner, and it is minuscule. It is as small as the copyright information across from it, whereas it could have been a lot larger, still confined to the corner there, but it could have been much larger, easier to reference that this is 1A, and this one over here is 12A. That could have been a little bit bigger without any drawbacks. But the components overall are quite good.
I would like to go even stronger on the component thing. I am almost infuriated that they cut corners by not putting enough of those standees in. That is, we've always joked about Fantasy Flight not putting enough dice in games. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous. To have to take them in and out of those things, come on. And it's not like they needed to put that many extra in the game. And then those numbers, I found that to be game hindering for me, because I would say, go to this card, and I was like, well, what card am I? And I was flipping the cards over back and front, and I know they wanted to make a nice 3-card picture for some of the things. Great, but it just, from a usability standpoint, those two things bothered me. Everything else, dice, art, I really like the art. I like the characters they picked. All that's fine, but those two things really bugged me for some reason. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add because I had the same issue that both of you did. My bigger issue, although the standees are ridiculous and there's absolutely no reason for that to happen, the size of the font. Because you're having to look for those cards a fair amount. I mean, it's not only once in a while. You're having to look through finding cards, and when you do, it's very, very difficult. So I think that's a huge issue with the components of the game. The art for me is fine. I don't think I have as much of a connection to the kind of the classic X-Men look that probably the three of you do. No, it's fine, but that wasn't enough. I guess what I'm saying is that I don't have so much of a connection with it that I was able to overlook the other things. I found a lot of the component issues to be glaring, quite honestly, and I couldn't even say, well, at least they have this art that I love, because I thought it was fine. I didn't really love it. I mean, Roy, you're pretty big on this kind of iteration of X-Men, am I right?
Yeah, I definitely am a huge fan of X-Men. It's probably one of my favorite IPs, and I don't think, I'm just going to say this flat out, there hasn't been a board game that's done it super well yet. And I think there's room for that. Is this that board game? We'll see. But as far as components go as well, I was one of the first ones to take this home and play it, and when I was looking for the standees, I was like, is that it? I was looking under the box thing. I'm like, oh no. I was like, they're not going to like this, because I thought the same thing, the fact that they didn't have enough for all the stands. And it's not even like they needed to throw that many extra in there. I mean, there's a bunch of heroes, but it's not that crazy to add that on. But then, like, the numbers, I play a lot of, like, the Marvel Champions LCG, and they have tiny little numbers in there if you wanted to put the deck back in order, but no one ever looks at, like, those tiny, tiny numbers. In a game where, like, you are expected to search through all of the different stuff, it's kind of crazy. And also, like, the order that the cards were in is not intuitive at all. Like, it's like, oh, go find this number, and it'll be like one way further in. It's not like the sets of the missions are all grouped together at all. So I was like, am I doing this right? What's going on? There was a huge barrier of entry in that spot, and that's one of the main things is it was not accessible at all. Like, it was like hindering actually playing the game, like trying to figure out where in the world these cards are.
And I would say, now that we've all gone around and talked about all those things, especially with what Roy just said, and at the end of the day, all that complexity still revolves around Yahtzee.
Yeah.
Which is a problem for me.
Okay, well, that actually opens the door. Before we
Let's go. Bust it, man. Preach.
before we breach the door, let's go back to Elder Sign itself.
Okay.
Since this game has a lot of similarities to it, what is everyone's opinion of Elder Sign? For me, it was originally a 7. I thought it was fine. It was good. And then when I played the other 600 dice games that have been released in the last decade, it slipped a little bit to a 6 for me. Now, I have not played all those new expansions. Z was telling me some of the expansions do some really cool things. I haven't played those. I just played the base game. But it was a game that I thought, it wasn't bad. But that's where I am with Elder Sign. But Z, I think you liked it more than me.
Well, when I played it originally, I probably rated it a 6. And with the expansions, it's climbed up to like a 7, 7.5 maybe. I mean, it's good. The expansions got better and better and better and more thematic while retaining the core mechanisms, which I thought were good.
Yeah, I liked it even a little bit more. I have it, I think, at an 8. It's, hovering right outside my top 100. I like Elder Sign. I've played many, not all, of the expansions, so I like the system a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy Elder Sign. I really enjoy the way it works. I enjoy that there's a decent amount of mitigation and a lot of working back and forth with each other to try to figure out how to solve all the different stuff. But what it comes down to is that even the core dice mechanics for this game aren't the same as Elder Sign, and I really enjoy the way they work in Elder Sign better. In Elder Sign, you roll a die, and you are forced to keep one each time. In this one, you're only rolling the dice 3 times, and you're hoping to get the symbol that you need exactly. And I feel like there was a more variety in the fact that Elder Sign has a tentacle side, which can be bad sometimes, but also it's important for a lot of the missions here and there. But then in this game, you have the Magneto symbol side, which is almost always bad. You never want to roll it.
Or it's nothing, right?
Right, or it's just nothing. It's something that you're going to have to try to figure out how to mitigate to roll away from,
Well, again, mechanically speaking, okay, we are looking at this as, in many ways, even if you haven't played Elder Sign, an evolution of Elder Sign.
Right.
And for me, I think the core mechanism, the dice rolling, is a big step back.
Right.
Why did we go from this interesting roll a pool of dice, and then you either commit to completing a mission, a line, or if you cannot in one roll, you have to remove a die from the pool. So you're slowly, losing ground. Tension builds. This is Yahtzee. Roll ones, 2 re-rolls, and you're done. We've seen that so many times. I was very thrown by that, the fact that they took away that one mechanism in the game.
Because that was the hook, right?
Yeah.
That was the hook around the dice rolling, and they took the hook away. And I don't understand why.
So, the game itself, to me, felt really lucky. And I kept running into problems because of that Yahtzee-ish thing. I kept running into problems where I couldn't remember what was on each side of the die. I mean, you can argue that that's just me being dense. But rolling the dice and saying, okay, we need these specific symbols, we need this, and then I'm trying to match stuff. My biggest problem with this game came down to the fact that I felt like the luck aspect did not warrant the number of things I had to keep looking up.
Oh, yeah.
So, for example, one of the things that they touted as a cool thing, and it is cool, is I go to a mission, and if you come with me, you can assist me. So you give me your side of the card instead of using my side. And then I sit there and go, okay, so you have this special ability, you have these things, I have this. If I help you, or you help me, or, oh, Bob came too, so is he going to help me, or should I help him? And I felt like we spent so much time working on that, and then we rolled some dice. And then at the end of the day, it didn't really matter who had even done all that stuff. And the special abilities themselves didn't feel X-Men-y to me. They were mostly, you can change this die to that die, which I get as part of the game, but...
Well, that's the problem, right? That's exactly it. The game does not have a lot of design space because of the very nature of the game, how simple it is. And so you've got all these things where you can have a mutant sidekick. What's it do? Probably re-roll a die or change its face. I mean, really. Or swap a yellow for a blue. You can have, you can train, which means you have a virtual die. Great, I can amass virtual dice and then not worry. No, you can have one. But half the things let you train.
Right, yeah, that is a big problem.
this much. I can have one.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can share, your half of the card with somebody else. What's it do? Swap the 2 dice you would have rolled with the 2 they're giving you and give you some power that probably lets you, again, re-roll some dice or train.
Right.
There's very little in like the sphere of everything this game does. There's not a lot of room for creative new things. Like, now I get to, when I roll dice, I get to, I don't know, roll first and then decide where I go. Like crazy stuff. There's none of that stuff. It didn't
But with
seem
that being said, Z, and I agree with you, with there being not a lot of decision space and it essentially coming down to rolling dice with very little mitigation, did you not also find that there were times that you were not confident that you were doing something right? There were little edge things, and you're having to go back to the rule book, and the rule book's not great, I don't think.
Constantly I felt, and forgetting things.
Right.
Like, okay, so I have a virtual die. I need to remember I have this extra die so I don't mess this up. And I have your little power, and I have these 2 relationships with 2 people. If we're at the same location, I got to remember that. Oh, and I can tap multiple man to re-roll a die. But it's all Yahtzee still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
As a side note here, folks, this is one of the first times this has ever happened in one of these reviews, but there's no groupthink going here because all 4 of us played the game in different sections.
Yeah, we haven't played this game together at all.
I took it home and played it with my family. Roy did the same.
I refuse to play with you.
So, I came in when we were talking. I was like, so what everyone think,
But that also means we all learned the game from the rule book, which was harsh.
Yeah.
Right. So with that in mind, and so there's a lot of things going on. Roy, what's your rating and final thoughts on the game?
Oh, goodness. For me, I love the X-Men IP. I love Marvel, and I think in Marvel, the X-Men is my favorite subset of stuff in Marvel. And I was actually hesitant but super excited when this game came out. I actually thought about buying a copy of this before I had played it. But I was like, it's going to be sent in. We're going to get a chance to look at it. I was really excited. And then after playing it, I was not nearly as excited. For me, I think my rating is going to be... I guess it's going to be like a 5. I mean, the game works overall. I think it has some issues. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but like the missions themselves, you really have to focus on like those main missions a lot of times, and depending on the one you're playing with, you have to do certain objectives beforehand. But I played like the Phoenix mission where it's really just focused on those missions, and I never went to any of the continent missions the entire time. And just through luck of rolling dice, I was able to beat the game with only doing those missions. But it forced me to do that because there's a threat counter that's always going up, and there were tons of exclamation points on there. So I wasn't even really able to build up or explore the design space. I was forced into dealing with that stuff. And I'm like, this feels broken-ish, And I mean, maybe people can have more experience with this or that, but it really just comes down to luck. That's the whole game. You either get lucky and you win, or you get lucky and you lose, and you might be able to build up a couple stuff, but that's mostly just going to let you re-roll the Magneto symbols on the dice. That's all it's going to do. So yeah, 5 for me.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm actually also coming in at a 5. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like they had a core system that was proven with Elder Sign, and I think they could have taken that core mechanic, and they probably could have gotten a good X-Men game out of it if they were careful about tying in some thematic elements. It feels sloppy. The game to me feels sloppy, from the components to the rule book to the lack of meaningful decisions that you're making. There's a lot of administration, a lot of stuff you got to keep track of, but not a lot of decisions. So I just feel like it's a missed opportunity. That's why I'm going with a 5.
All right, Z.
All right, well, next time I want to be the one to say my rating first, because now it just seemed like a Johnny-come-lately. I was going to rate this a 5 as well. That's what I had in mind already. You guys are jerks, and next time I will say 5 first, and then you all seem like you're following me. And I'm not going to add anything else, because I think we've said it all. Tom?
5. Come on, guys.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Okay.
We all rated this independently a 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
Except for Mike, who just repeated what Roy said.
Wait a minute. No.
Look,
Outrageous.
I really like the bonding mechanism. I almost gave it a 6 because I thought the bonds were
You can
cool.
play entire games where the bonds don't even come up, though.
Yes, and that's why I didn't give it an extra point for that, Roy, because I played one where we got a bond, and I was like, that's pretty neat. And then the very next thing was like, lose a bond. And I was like, oh, well, it was neat for a moment. Also, as cool as the bond is, the bond ties your hands. It's like, these two characters work great together, so guess what? They must always work together if you would like to do well.
Yes.
There's one fewer
It
decision
closes
from the small
window.
pool.
It closes doors. It's
And-
like, you want this? You are now railroaded and taped to this other character. Go do stuff together.
And on the Phoenix scenario in the last showdown part, it tries to trick you to get free bonds, so that way when you go to the other parts that you could break them. And I'm just like, why would I ever? I don't want bonds. This is dumb. Just some of the stuff didn't make sense mechanically to me.
Yeah, if my kids were here rating this, I think it would be even lower. When I played it with them, they like superheroes, but they found it to be too hard for them. And I know that Roy has the opposite opinion, and he thought it was too easy.
What? You thought it was too easy?
I didn't think
Man,
it was too
played-
easy. I thought it was luck.
One of the ones I played, well, there's that. One of the ones I played was the one with Bolivar Trask and the Sentinels and all that. Woo, that was a fairly short game.
Yeah, well, they didn't like
Just
that.
bringing out Sentinels everywhere, and it's like I had nothing. Like it went from green to red. Halfway.
I could see that happening.
I mean, it was like 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that.
Alrighty, well, hey, you never know. Maybe this will still be your jam, folks. Definitely check it out. Again, if you like Elder Sign, this is similar in some ways and not similar in others, as we've described. But there you have it. So that's X-Men Mutant Insurrection. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
Have fun fighting Sentinels.